You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. We have good in abundance. An amazing goodness is coming our way with a fabulous Curtis Symonds, and you're going to just be in love with his spirit, with what he does, and how much good he's bringing to the world. Now, remember, you're good looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. Now, you tuned in today to the Joy of Living podcast, and you did it consciously and conscientiously for one reason and one reason only. It's the best reason in the whole world, because you care the most in the entire world about you. YOU, which is great, by the way, because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony. You create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And you are joined at this very moment with people all around the world, everyone tuned in to become the best person you could possibly be. 348,613 people now. By the time we bring on wonderful Curtis, you'll be over 360,000 because you're always inviting your family and friends. And I'm humbled and honored that you do this. You make the time, your most valuable asset, to listen to the Joy of Living podcast. So all we urge you to do is share this with 5 friends and give us great ratings on the podcast, because we're shooting now to get 500,000 by the first quarter of 2024. So spread the word. Just share this with 5 people. And anything and everything you want to know about our amazing guest today, just go to my website, www.whatawonderfulworld.barryshore.com, www.barryshore.com. Everything is there. Just listen and let the experience flow through you and around you. So I want to urge everybody to understand that on this podcast, we work with the 3 fundamentals of life. And when you use these 3 fundamentals, you will be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? Guaranteed, or your money back. So what are the 3 fundamentals of life? Number 1, your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. In this case, good number 2, you go mad. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. Lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the 3rd fundamental is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Like I just mentioned, simple example, www. Ask anybody what it stands for. They said, do it with the internet. Factually speaking, they're correct. In our world, of course, www stands for What a Wonderful World. And you have a thank you, a big tip of the hat, and a thank you to Louis Armstrong Satchmo for enabling that song, What a Wonderful World, to go viral and not just touch tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people around the planet. Whenever you hear the opening bars of What a Wonderful World, what do right away? You can't help it. You smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you could ever utilize, internalize, and leverage in your life, because smile stands for seeing miracles in life. Every day, seeing miracles in life every day. Let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Imagine, if you can, standing up in the morning, hale and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, and that evening being in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed from the neck down. Completely. Not from an automobile accident, not a spinal injury, a rare disease, which I never heard of the day before, took over my body and rendered me what's called a quadriplegic. I can only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in hospital. I was 2 years in hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't turn over by myself. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs, my hips, and my ankles, and that was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. Can't walk up a stair by myself. Can't walk up a curb by myself. I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, but you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, because it's one word. Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. I got to tell you a quick story. My 8-year-old niece comes over to me a couple of weeks ago. She says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? I thought about it. Smile sounds the same. Why not? I asked her how come. Because she says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. What was she doing? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Create is a fabulous word that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. You're going to hear a lot of that from Curtis because he knows how to shift perspective. That's what rethinking is about. Shift perspective. Now, I got to tell you something. I've been working with people for more than 42 years. Very high-end, successful people. And 97.2% of the people I work with in the beginning, they drop the F in shift and the other stuff happens. You got to be effing careful with your Fs. Shift perspective. You do that, and then the 6 most important words will come into your being. You can utilize them and leverage them in your life because these 6 words are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will determine where you're going and the trajectory. Now, before we bring on Curtis, who is a wonderful, amazing being, I have to warn him and everybody listening, your humble host, Barry Shore, does use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word. And I do it because it's fun and the shock value. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use are, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, love, life, hope, free, gift, play, pray, swim. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, that's right. FU, capital N, capital N. But Barry Shore, I know some people have raised their hand. Fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant. Fun is spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, when you see your family and your friends, I want you to point your finger with a big smile on your face, twinkle in your eyes, say, F-U, everybody. But remember to add right away, capital N, capital N. You'll get their attention. What are you talking about? I said, well, that Barry Shore wants to teach the world to F you. And he had on this great guy named Curtis. And I just want you, everybody to hear what he had to say. So before we bring on Curtis in just a couple of minutes, I want to urge everybody to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life, because it will make you happier, healthier, and wealthier. What are these 2 words? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. Imagine going to your coffee shop and order your fancy latte. You sit down, somebody brings it to you. So what do? You say, thank you. You walk in the coffee shop, you order a fancy latte, a couple of minutes go by, nobody brings it. You go to the counter, you say, oh, I'm sorry, we forgot, we're busy. We'll bring it to you. Sit down, a couple of minutes go by, somebody brings it. You still say, thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop. It's raining out. Somebody holds the door open for you. You say, thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop. It's raining. And somebody slams the door on you. You say, thank you. You're in traffic. You're late for an appointment. Somebody cuts you off. You say, thank you. Get up in the middle of the night and you stub your toe and it hurts. That's right. You say, thank you. To harmonize and nurture kindness. Kind is a great acronym that stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anybody that inspires noble deeds more than amazing, wonderful Curtis Symonds. Curtis, please say hello to 366,823 people around the world.
I want to thank Barry Shore for bringing me to the world. And as he says that word, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Barry.
Woo! And that's coming from one of the more remarkable human beings you'll ever interact with. So if I start reading to you all of the things that Curtis has done and is doing in his life, it would take the rest of the show. So suffice to say, I'm just going to mention 3 things. Curtis was born in Bermuda. Now, everybody in the world these days is geographically challenged. So just do a Google and see where Bermuda is. It's this remarkably beautiful sandy island not far from the United States coast. But he grew up in Wilberforce, Ohio. So we're going to talk about that because that is what really gave him the ability to soar and grow and such. And he's been in the world of communications and working with ESPN, BET, and he's worked with Byron Allen. I mean, this man knows his stuff. And we're talking about stuff because we're going to talk today about one of the most remarkable groups of of sources of benefit in the United States of America. It's called HBCU, which means nothing to most people listening. So I'm going to spell it out. Historic Black colleges and universities. They are a mainstay of the forward motion of the Black community in the United States. And I hope, wonderful Curtis, that you'll agree with me on that. And we're just going to jump right in and tell people, what is HBCU and why is it such a secret that now we're going to reveal to the world?
Well, it's not a secret. It's been a brand since 1800s and basically started out early in the days, because as most people will know, there was a lot of segregation in the early days. And so these colleges were built to really help give education to African Americans. But now the world has changed, Barry. Historical Black colleges are not just open to African Americans, they're open to everyone. And the big thing that I'm trying to import within HBCU Go TV is show the opportunities that exist in these schools, because they're great educational platforms. And as you were saying earlier, these schools put a smile on your face because they treat you as an individual. They don't treat you as a number. The goal is to try to make sure everyone who attends an HBCU finishes, because they know how hard it is. The teachers know how hard it is in the workforce and what it means to be in the workforce. So if you're educating them and building them to be the best they can be, that's what the schools strive for. So it's a great platform, Barry, to take you out into the real world.
This is wonderful. The whole understanding. Let's start with the reason they started was because, yes, America 100 plus years ago was a segregated country.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it like this, and it may or may not be true, wonderful Curtis. Under the leadership of such amazing people like George Washington Carver, who gave an impetus to make people understand that African Americans, Black people, were the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
You give them opportunity, and guess what happens? They flourish, because that's the human spirit. That's the genius of America. What was the problem of America was that there were too many people, especially in the South, that wanted to keep people of African American descent or Black people, they wanted to keep them in a down position. And the genius of America and the genius of the Black community is we're not going to allow that to happen. And here's how we do it. We build our own colleges. We train our young men and women. Now, early on, it was men, but we train our young men and women to be solid citizens, capable of competing anywhere in the world. And as you said so elegantly and eloquently, the genius of the historically Black college and university is that they are smaller in number and therefore focus on the individual. So what I'd like to do is I want to talk about Go TV. I want to go there first by having you speak about the genius of a smaller university, a smaller college, let's say 8 to 10,000 people or 5 to 10,000, where people get to know each other and know how to strive forward because people are helping each other. Am I correct on that?
Well, I think you're big time correct on it, Barry. I think that one of the beauties of an HBCU school is that the teachers took a great path to help a student grow within themselves. I think that's really the uniqueness. I mean, it's like the old days of, you had a small classroom and then you were getting more individual attention. And that's really somewhat of the HBCU philosophy back in that day. I mean, they weren't big, and it still is today. They weren't big enough like some of the PWIs that are now 30, 40,000 kids going to school. The max kids today at HBCU is like 10,000. And still in a room of maybe no more than 25 students in a classroom, where in most PWI, which means predominantly white institutions, really you're looking at 40, 50 students in a room where you get very, very little individual attention. And that's really the beauty of an HBCU, Barry. And then I think the bigger thing, Barry, is that the closeness, the bond that you build within the university. I mean, I've been out of school I just celebrated my 50th college reunion. And I'm still close to 90% of the people that went to school with me, because it's just that bond. that you pick up while you're there, and the caring that you have for your partners and other people in your group, and that you don't let that go by easily, and so that's a big thing that carries within the HBCU circle. So it's really a great togetherness, Barry, of the universities that are built, and it really builds a great bond. And I think that the missing norm out there is that, you can go to an HBCU and get a quality education. I've heard even Black people say, I can't go to an HBCU. First of all, it's too Black. I won't get a quality education. Yeah, that's real. That's real. That's real, Barry, on the real tip, because there's so, African American parents today, middle class parents, are striving to do better than they did. So a lot of them have their kids going to schools where they're predominantly white schools, and they don't really be around a lot of African Americans, so they don't get the real feel. So now you try to take them out of that environment into a predominantly Black college where it's more people who look like you. That's, in some cases, that's a big adjustment for some people, because they haven't been in that environment. And
by the way, this is fascinating. I want to unpack this because, see, I want everybody to understand. Our podcast, thank God, is listened to by hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people around the world. And that means we have a large contingent of people from Asia, various African countries, Europe, the United States, Latin America. And I want people to understand some of what Curtis just said. In America today, unlike 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago when I was growing up, there's not only no segregation, being Black actually is an advantage, and you can go anywhere. So oftentimes, you're right, Black parents are sending or urging their kids to go to we'll call it a mixed school, just a regular school.
Right.
But therefore, they've never had the benefit, I'm saying benefit, of bonding with people like mind, like character. And then when you take away this whole idea of, well, I'm Black and therefore a little different than anybody else, then that goes away. The tension that happens with college, because let's be blunt, college is not easy. It's supposed to be challenging. Right. Why even have that? But you're right. It's a bizarre thing that in today's world, people don't even get the benefit of being with other Black people in a regular environment.
They don't, Barry. They don't. And so that's the goal of HBCU Go TV, is to begin to start educating people more on the value, the history, the legacy of these schools. Because every school has, I just left Houston, Texas this weekend, Barry, at Texas Southern University. Every school has a story that's been untold. And when you really dig deep down into it and you start talking to some of the professors and others, and they start telling you some of the things they're working on right now, or even some of the history, most people don't know that information. So that's one of the goals that we want to try to strive for at HBCU Go, is begin to start, enlightening people on the history of some of these universities and some of the things they're doing currently. See, the one bad rap that historical Black college universities get, Barry, and if someone's listening today that's gone to one, they'll understand exactly what I'm talking about, is they get the bum rap if drugs found in the room, crime over here, somebody gets shot. That's all the world wants to talk about. They don't talk about, for example, again, in Houston, on the football team, you had 2 valedictorians on the football team, 4 threes, 4.3, Barry, 4.3, valedictorian on football. By
the way, I want everybody to know that one of the, as you can hear, Curtis is a storyteller, and he doesn't just tell stories with his articulate voice. He is one of the greatest experts in communication with TV. He knows inside and out what it means to produce something that will grab attention, give you an idea, and make it stick. That's what we're going to talk about Go TV when we come back right after our brief commercial break, Curtis. But everybody should know that you're dealing with this person right now who has over 40 years, 4 decades of dealing with Cablevision, ESPN, BT. I mean, Curtis is the man. When it talks about communication, he is it. So we'll be right back after this brief message. Now, we We vet everybody that comes on. So we urge you to consider using their products and services, or else they wouldn't be here. We love them. We want you to love them as well. So we'll be right back after this brief message. Don't go away. There's more Curtis coming to you.
I'm waiting, Barry.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Hey, everybody. You know me, Barry Shore, and you know my story. Standing up in the morning, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. That night, being in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed. Talk about a change of life. I was faced with lots of issues, difficulties, paths forward, if there was to be one. And I'm here to tell you that finding advice from professional people makes all the difference, certainly in my life. And I would urge everybody to consider doing so in your life. And if you've ever had the opportunity to find someone or some two people that are really matched up with you, then you know it makes a difference. I urge you to consider using BetterHelp. BetterHelp, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, so it's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill in a brief questionnaire. I've done it to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. This is your opportunity to make a difference and become the best you possible. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/joy of living today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/joy of living. BetterHelp, HELP.com/joy of living. Best wishes. Bye now. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good in abundance. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is Curtis Symonds, and Curtis comes to us to give us an amazing understanding of something that is just so wonderful because in my humble opinion, Curtis, it's so American. It's the idea of creating opportunity. There's always opportunity. Yes, people can be pushed down and oppressed and just opportunity. That's America. Am I right on that? Am I right on that?
Exactly right. I think that's the biggest thing that everyone needs to understand when they talk about like college universities. They give you the opportunity. The opportunity. Now, how bad you want it is up to you. You know, you've got to be that driver that's hammering that nail to say, I want this thing. Now, for me in particular, I grew up on the campus of an HBCU, Central State University in Ohio. My mother worked there for 40 years teaching. My father worked in the maintenance department for 50 years. So my bloodline was very strong in the HBCU circle. So it always, for me, was because I realized when I came out of college and started having some success in life that if it wasn't for Central State, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you, Barry, today if it wasn't for the small college out of Wilberforce, Ohio. I also realized that there were some professors that took a chance on me, Barry. You know, I'm a physical education major, you know, and I've been talking this way for over 60 years now, and I talk a lot. And in the classroom, I was running my mouth a little extra, and they would make a point, say to Curtis, if you learn to kind of be quiet sometimes and kind of understand some things, you're going to be a good student before it's all over. So he taught me a lesson, you know, be a better listener, you know, and that helped me out in life, Barry. It helped me out in life, you know, because the more you listen, the better you're able to answer, you know, but a lot of people over-talk. And in my early days, I continue to work on it. I over-talk at times, but I certainly have become a better listener. And I think that's some of the things that the molding coming out of HBCU teaches you, because you have someone who takes you under the wing and says, hey, I want to make you a better person, Barry. And that's really what I think HBCUs do. Early to your point, you know, people say every day, you know, when they see me and say, why do you smile so much? You're always in a good mood. Because I don't look at life like, hey, it's breaking my throat. I look at life like you're talking about, Barry. I'm going to smile every day. I wake up and blessed that I can see that light every day, you know? And you've gone through some things. I didn't realize you were paralyzed. And I saw that and you're open, that's spectacular, Barry, where you come from, and so you now have a stronger respect for what life is all about because you've had to fight some tough battles, but you're still there, you know. And so we're in the same frame of mind that smile every day, the thank yous are what you need. I want to be very sure because I want to live the good life. Living is about growing, so if I
Woo!
right, it puts me in the right perspective. So that's really where you're at, Barry, in life. And as I say every day, I just learned some things from you today that I'll take elsewhere because it's things that I think other people need to hear. And I think you put it in the right perspective.
Well, back at you, kid. One of the things I learned when I was researching wonderful Curtis is that he has this great 3-word line: enjoy every moment, right?
Yes.
That is you. And he just shared with us again 2 things that are unique, in my humble opinion, in today's environment about the benefit of HBCUs, these historic Black college university, which, by the way, I think they number over 100. Over 100.
Barry.
107. We're not talking about 2 or 3. We're talking about 107 of these magnificent fountains of goodness. That's what I call them. You hear that? Fountains of goodness. That you can go to a place where the ratio of teachers and students, of people who care about their students, is so low that you can have people take you under your wing, as you said, and demonstrated, and say to you, Curtis, it's great that you can express yourself. I want to share with you something, Curtis. The good Lord gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. That's what they were saying. Listen twice as much as you speak. The ability to do that and have a mentor, which happens at HBCUs, is truly something that every parent should strive for their child. In other words, I'm saying to everybody out there in the world, people in Asia are jealous of America, and they should be. They should come here. Asian students, you should be going to HBCU.
Right.
White students, you should be going to HBCU. Everybody, you should apply to HBCU. It doesn't matter what you look like because you're going to get a better quality education because the interaction with teachers and other students and building that bond. It's the what I call wisdom over knowledge. Knowledge is great, but it's wisdom that really makes the difference. Isn't that right, Curtis?
That wisdom over knowledge is I mean, for me, Barry, in my growing up, the one thing I have learned is I love to speak to people older than me because that wisdom is something you cannot take away, Barry. I always felt I was jealous of other friends of mine because when I was young, my grandparents were older. And I didn't get the time spent with my grandparents that I would have liked to because I would have liked to have learned their personal wisdom better so that I could have been a better person. And I didn't get that chance. And I've been around other friends of mine and their grandparents and had a chance to talk with them. But I think the best wisdom I ever got, Barry, was a friend of mine, I coached basketball on the side at a Catholic high school. And the head coach and I did a basketball camp on an Shawnee Indian reservation in Montana. And the first time I went out, we've been doing it now for about 6 years straight. The first time I went out, I had a chance to sit down with the elders of the Cheyenne who taught me, educated me on life, because they took it from a whole, we look at things, Barry, we take life for granted. As African-American male, I always look at our culture and say, oh, we've got it tough. But when you really dig down into the dirt, Barry, and you see how the Indians lived in the days and how they controlled so much, and America took that away from them and just put them on the sideline and said, this is how you're going to live now. Didn't care. It educated you on, the lack of caring, the lack of self-preservation, the lack of not knowing where you're going to live or eat or sleep next. Not knowing if you're going to see your kid again because other kids are getting moved away. That's heavy duty, Barry. That's heavy duty when you think about that.
Right.
Because when our kids are born, we know where they're going. They go to the hospital, then they come home. In the old days with the Cheyennes, it didn't happen like that. It didn't happen like that, Barry. And then one of the biggest things that was another great thing that the Indians taught me, I used to think it was just the movies, but they allowed me to be part of what they call the sweat tent. And you go into this tent, sit around with like 7 or 8 people, and I mean, it's hot in this tent. And we're in midsummer, Barry.
It's a sweat lodge.
Yeah, I mean, you're sweating with everything but your drawers on. You're sweating everything off. But it's a great way to bring the spirit into you. It makes you understand who you are. And then you look at that in the mirror and you look at coming out of HBCU and understanding who you are at HBCU. It's nothing but put the money where your mouth's at the end of the day, Barry. And then you understand better on who you are as an individual. And that tutelage right there was so strong to me. I couldn't let it go, Barry. I couldn't let it go because it made me have a whole different thinking of life, to your point. Smile, thank you, be a better person, learn learn the people you're around. Don't be a downer, be an upper. Learn to, not be a person who criticizes. Learn to solve the solution and help somebody.
Okay, I got to unpack some of this stuff here because again, we have people all over the world, and people are listening to and watching. If you're watching Curtis, you're really in for a treat. But if you're only listening, then you're hearing again what we're talking about. It's wisdom over knowledge, and it's the genius of America. As yes, the Indians. It's not just they were maltreated. It's horrible. We're black people treated that way, horrible. We're Chinese. We're, even the Irish. Everybody who came to America had to go through the ringer, as it were. And yet, look at America today. America is the greatest land of opportunity that ever existed in the history of the world.
No question.
And the genius, I want to shift a little bit because you've been bringing us so much wonderfulness, and you're a product. An example of HBCU. Tell us about what Go TV is and why you're so passionate about it.
Well, HBCU Go TV, Barry, was something that I founded with my business partner, Clint Evans, out of Chicago. And why I'm so passionate about it, because as I said earlier in our conversation, I grew up on the campus. I idolized a lot of athletes back in that day because I loved to play basketball and all of that. But I idolized the culture. In fact, to our point that we were saying, my mother was very vested into the school. My mother worked night and day as a physical education teacher and dance teacher to help many, many, many students get through college, Barry. And there was a lot of students that came to Central State who couldn't read nor could they write that well. And my mother took the extra time beyond teaching to work with these individuals to get them better. And so being in the media business for 40 plus years, I kept saying, especially on the athletic side, we got to get more visible. And I saw how I was, as part of ESPN back in the early days, I was part of that early growth with sports and being able to make sports a household name in the television community. So I said, if I can develop a show, a network around Stoker Black College universities, can begin to start highlighting better the athletic programs, which could use definitely could use some bump. Also be able to show the lifestyle of the universities, the education side at the university, and any other programming that we can build around it that focuses on the value of it and why it's so good to come to these universities, because they deliver so strong a message. The Martin Luther Kings, the Spike Lees, L.B. Du Bois, all of these greats that have come through there, and you look now, you look at the vice president of the United States, come out is a Howard grad, vice president. That's history at the end of the day. But
so I'm going to unpack something here because I want you to go a little deeper into what Go TV is about. And by the way, I'm going to use a 4-letter F word again. Free. Go TV is free. Free. Yeah. It's the F word, 4 letters.
You got it.
Part of what you're saying to me, it's resonating. I'm going to just talk it out because we're sharing here, is that what you're doing is you want to make HBCU so visible and so attractive that students, let's say Black students specifically, who are considering going to Princeton or Yale or Harvard or Stanford, those name schools, that they should really be considering coming to HBCU, because in reality, they will get a better education at HBCU than those name places.
Well, let's paraphrase that. Get a good education, Bear. Okay, I'm not going to say a better education, but a good education.
Fair enough. Enough.
You'll be able to walk out of that school of Central State University, Prairie View, Texas Southern, Jackson, Virginia Union, Virginia State, and be able to say, I'm a proud graduate of that school. The thing that we got to do is, and hopefully what I want to try to do at HBCU Go, is open more of the world to these students who don't get that acknowledgement, Barry. That's you go to any, everybody talks this great word in life called diversity. But really, when you go in the shop, there is no diversity, Barry. It's a Black person answering the phones. Well, I got one in here, so I'm good. That's not it, Barry. Who's sitting in the C-suite? There is some intelligent people who deserve a shot in the C-suite, but they get held down because people say, no, I can't give Curtis Symonds a bump. That's just not the right guy. Now, they can't openly say it's because of this, but that's their thinking. I can't let a Black guy control this. It's too much. Too much power.
And part of what you're saying, I'm going to, again, make another comment here, is that by attending HBCU, and there are 107 of them, you're going to get a good education. And I mean an education where you'll be able to learn how to read, write, communicate, bond with other people in a positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant way. And that in and of itself will allow you to go anywhere and be wanted, not like you just said, we have to check a box. We have one or two or three of these. They'll want you because they'll recognize that you have skills commensurate with the job opportunity. That's really what you're saying, right?
The magic word right there, Barry. I think it looked over tremendously at our community. Skills. We get underestimated about our skill level. I can't put that. I don't know if they're skilled enough to handle this job. Well, how have you trained them to be skilled if that's the case? And that's the missing part of the puzzle that always gets the stopper trying to get to the C-suite. Because always you get the buffer that I don't think they're smart enough. It's just, I'll say it like this. And this is the thing that I think the world is seeing now. In sports, the old days was you can't have a Black quarterback. They're not smart enough.
Right.
Well, look at the NFL right now. Look at the NFL right now. Who are some of the best quarterbacks?
By the way,
but years ago, that was the stamp that they weren't smart enough to play quarterback. So let me convert a guy coming out of college who was a good quarterback, convert him into a wide receiver or a cornerback, because I don't think he can play position. And that's where, again, I go echo about what was talked about when you mentioned skill level. Until you put the person in the seat and give him opportunity. When Doug Williams won in '86 the Super Bowl for the Redskins, nobody thought a guy out of Grambling could win a Super Bowl. But he won a Super Bowl. But now if you interview Doug, you'll find out Doug has a little stutter. Everyone in the world who won a Super Bowl always was asked, where you going next, quarterback? Going to Disney. They wouldn't do that for Doug because he had a little stutter. So he didn't get a chance to go to Disney.
So here's the genius, again, of America and the HBCU and what I call ever striving forward. The genius of the pathway of, let's say, Black Americans, and by the way, like you mentioned, Indians, is the ability to say, the past was pretty tough. Okay, so now what?
Right.
In other words, we're here now, and we want to utilize the opportunities that are available. So, when I talk about HBCU, I mean, I must tell you, I tear up a bit. Why? Because in my world, I'm Jewish. When we were not allowed to be in law firms, I don't know if you know this, Jews were
I know the story.
excluded
I don't know
from
how
law
well,
firms.
I know the story, though. I've heard the
Right.
story.
Yeah, so it's so funny because the idea of Jewish lawyer is almost, well, of course. But in the days of the 30s, 40s, and 50s, even 60s, Jews weren't allowed into what they call the white shoe
No
law
question.
firm. Most, just basic white Anglo-Saxon product. So what
Right.
did Jews do? They started their own law firms.
Their own law firms.
And they
Yep.
started their own banks, which, by the way, thank God, again, 100 plus years ago, that was the direction that Blacks were really moving forward in. And that's why HBCU are so important. I'm laying this down now. I'm talking about important, not just to the Black community, important to the United States of America, because you're teaching skills. And we're talking about the skills of, yes, knowledge, reading, writing, communication, such, but the skills of interacting and bonding with other people, the skills, like you said, wonderful Curtis, of listening,
Yes.
of being able to understand someone's on other side and use it and then show what you can do. The skills that are coming out of HBCU and what you're doing with Go TV is so uplifting. By the way, when we talk about uplifting, up stands for unlimited potential.
I like that.
That's who you are. You are an up,
word,
unlimited potential. Now,
word,
speaking about potential, we have, as I said, we have wonderful sponsors that love us, that keep the show going. So we urge you to frequent them. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more Curtis on the other side. Don't go away. Curtis is still here. We'll be right back after this brief message.
Thank you, Barry.
Good day, everybody. Oh, something special for you. Amazing. Sometimes a great notion comes into the world and causes a shift that benefits everyone. Isn't that wonderful? Everyone benefits. This time it's called Einstein Cares. That's right, like Albert Einstein. EinsteinCares.com. EinsteinCares. EinsteinCares.com. Go there and sign up to be aware of when the site launches. Because guess what this site is all about? Its mission is to give $1 billion to charity without costing any giver a penny. Okay, I'm going to say it again. The mission is to give $1 billion to charity without costing any giver a penny. And it's based upon something everybody loves to do. Shop, have fun, give money at no cost. Go to EinsteinCares.com. That's EinsteinCares.com and register now so that when the site launches, you will be amongst the first to know about it. So you can shop, earn money, and give money at no cost. What a wonderful world to even be thinking about these things. EinsteinCares.com. Do it today. You'll thank me, and you know you love thanking me. Best wishes. Bye now. Good day. Beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking. You're always looking for and finding the good. Have we found good? A treasure. We've uncovered it. We share with you Curtis Symonds, one of the most articulate, one of the most passionate, one of the most purposeful, one of the most pleasant people you'll ever encounter. And he is the genius and the tip of the spear of something called HBCU Go TV. And the ability of Go TV is to, again, free, is to spotlight and create greater visibility of the legacy, the tremendous power and purposefulness and pleasantness and purpose of HBCU, historically Black colleges and universities. Wonderful, Curtis. Give us an idea of where you think Go TV can really be over the next few years. What can it do for HBCUs and America?
I think we're going to be a very good instrument for HBCUs, because I think that what we could be able to do is as you talked about me earlier, and the network mirrors a lot off of me, Barry, is I think we could be a great storyteller for the HBCU culture. For example, like I said, I was in Houston this weekend for a football game, our last football game, and I was talking to the president of Texas Southern, and she was telling me about some history that was not uncovered that is going on right now at the school that no one really knows about and needs to know about. But I think that's kind of the driving nail for me, Barry, along with I'm passionate about trying to convince more and more students to come this way because I think we're missing out on some very more, I guess the word is we're missing out on more talented students. We have talented students now, but there are more talented students out there. If they, in fact, if they can touch the culture and be able to see it, when you just throw the paper down on it and just give them a piece of paper and say, well, here's what school, I'm in California. No way I'm going way down south and go to, Grambling or somewhere like that. But you take them there for a homecoming or gathering and see that bonding in a room of all the people look like you or others, that changes your whole thinking. Then you're like, you know what? This might be all right. This might be something I might be able to enjoy. Maybe I need to check this out. And seeing is believing. You have to see something, Barry, to believe it. When somebody's talking to you about it, like, no, I can't see it, so I can't feel it. I can't get a body vibe on it, But when you see it and you're there and you can feel it, and you're like, oh wow, I'm feeling something special about being here, and that changes your whole thinking. I can't tell you how many students I've asked and said from different areas around the country said, well, how did you hear about this school, particular school you're at? And most of them said, the one thing that always drives HBCU is generation. My cousin, my uncle, my sister, my grandmother, granddad, somebody went there. Or B, my counselor came from HBCU, told me I should think about it. But that's a small portion of the world there, Barry. A lot of people don't get that tick. A lot of counselors don't have that information. So they don't really push it to that student to make them more aware of what we bring to the table. And so I'm hoping HBCU Go TV can begin to be that vehicle that starts opening up that visibility. We're building an educational portal around our website. And it all is going to be about trying to talk to students from middle school to high school on reasons why they should become to HBCUs, along with giving them visuals where we can put a map up, have a little button on it. You hit the button, tells you all about the university, cost, how the lifestyle is, blah, 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 blah. The more you can touch it and feel it, Barry, the better you're going to be. So,
there isn't anybody on the planet that can communicate the passion, the love, the ability to say, this is a place you should really visit, think about, check it out. Because if you really want to go far in life, you're going to get the skills, the love, the bonding right here. You got 107 places to choose from.
And that's the story. For me, the story I tell a lot of students is, listen, I'm a physical education major out of Central State University, graduated in 78. I'm in 4 Hall of Fames, okay? I'm in a sports Hall of Fame. I went to another school before I went to Central State, and played basketball. I'm in a bunch of them, but my biggest one came 2 years ago when I got into Broadcasting and Cable Hall of Fame, and that to me, I didn't know it at the time, but that's like the Emmys of Broadcasting Cable. I couldn't believe the room I was in full of that night, and coming out of a 3,000, student university, you can do it, Barry, if you put your mind to it. Okay, if you put your mind to it, and let's be frank, you got to work at it. You got to work at your craft. I worked at my craft.
Well, work is a 4-letter word ending with K.
There you go.
If you work at it, guess what will happen?
There you go, Barry. So the more you can build into that, the better you're gonna be.
So I'm almost sorry to say this to you, Curtis, but our time is coming to a narrow close here. At the moment,
Barry. It's always fun to talk to you, Barry.
I'm gonna ask you 3 quick questions. You ready?
Sure.
3 questions. Number 1, will you come back again?
You got me any day of the week, Barry.
Woo!
Any day of the week, you got me.
Okay. Number 2, and this is a tough one. Here you go, Curtis. You got 80 seconds to answer this. 80 seconds only. What is your most fervent desire?
My desire is to be the best I can be at all times, Barry. That's my desire.
And you're doing it. Okay. And number 3, can I give you a hug in front of 371,800? Okay. Let me tell you what hug stands for. Heartfelt, unlimited giving. All right. On the count of 3, heartfelt, unlimited giving. 1, 2, 3.
Heartfelt, unlimited giving. Got it. Thank you, Barry. You're wonderful, Barry.
Don't go away, Curtis. This is The Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, and amazing guest, Curtis Symonds. He is the essence of HBCU, Historic Black College Universities Go TV. And remember, if you utilize the 3 fundamentals of life, you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. What are the 3 fundamentals? Number 1, your life has purpose, just like Curtis. Number 2, you make a difference in the world. Go mad. And number 3 is to utilize the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms like WWW, what a wonderful world. Smile, seeing miracles in life every day. As my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Create the kind of world you want to live in, causing rethinking, like Curtis says, enabling all to excel. And use the 2 most powerful words in English language 3 times a day, every single day of your life. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. To harmonize and nurture kindness. So share this with 5 people. Give us a great ranking on the podcast, wherever you listen. And just go to my website, www.whatawonderfulworld.barryshore.com. Everything about Curtis and Go TV is there. So we're going to give a blessing from Curtis and Barry. You ready? That is, go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Curtis, don't go away. Okay?
All right, Barry. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.